I am a wealth system that unexpectedly took over a heartbreaking, abusive novel. At that moment, the male lead was threatening the female lead. You have 1 hour to come back, or I'll stop all of your mother's medical treatments. Her biological father wasn't to be outdone. Come back and apologize to your son. And law immediately, or I'll sell the house your mother left you. Her younger sister chimed in. It'll make your life a living hell. It can only be mine. In these kinds of abusive stories, the female lead usually just cries and endures in despair. And Ruon was no exception. Watched as she was abused to the point of a breakdown. Turned to threaten her. You must flip this wretched plot. Abuse them for me. Each slap is 10,000. If you don't, I'll give you an electric shock. Initially, the female lead trembled with fear. Do I really have to slap them? Bang not. I don't think I can do it. When I appeared, then the female lead missed. She was so startled she forgot to cry. She asked me, who are you? I answered bluntly, your weakness just now annoyed me. Ruon fell silent, her large eyes glistening with unused tears, her gaze lost. Her voice was a whisper. I'm sorry. A few minutes earlier, her husband, father, and younger sister had called one after another. Each gave a different command. Her husband forced her to return, or had pull her mother's life support. Her father forced her to bow down and apologize, or had sell the house her mother left behind. Her sister told her to get lost because she loved her husband and thought she was unworthy. Besides crying weakly and uttering a few meaningless pleas that only made them more smug, she could do nothing. She could bear this humiliation, but I couldn't. A domineering wealth system like me had never known what patience was. He appeared in her head, threatening her decisively. Apologies are useless. Go slap every one of them for me. Each slap is 10,000. If you don't, you'll get an electric shock. Ruon was bewildered. I don't dare. I don't need your dare. They'll just electrocute her directly. Speak up. Are you used to starving? The next second, she fainted because she hadn't eaten in 2 days. What the hell? I thought. Not long after Ruon fainted, the hospital called Jian Moi. Though displeased, he still came. While Ruon was asleep, his gaze on her was both silent and worried. But the moment she opened her eyes, his expression changed instantly, as if someone had just stuffed trash into his head. Do me a favor and take care of yourself. I'm very busy. Don't have time to play these childish games with you. Ruon choked up and said softly, I know, I didn't know they would call you. She quietly took out her phone right in front of Jian Moi and deleted his number from her contacts. From that moment on, his number was just as strangers to her. Even if she died on the street, no one would call him again. Jian Moi's eyes darkened, his annoyance more apparent. Since we're strangers, you can pay for your mother's medical bills yourself. Don't bother me again. Also, tell your father to return the 20 million to me soon. Ruon's hand froze, her voice grew smaller. I'll do my best. Please give me a little more time. Jian Moi stared at the phone in her hand, silent for a long time, then turned and left the hospital room in a huff. Ruon let out a soft sigh, but then immediately bowed her head, tears falling silently. She suddenly remembered something and quickly composed herself to text her father. Dad, when will you pay Jian Moi back? Can you at least pay a portion first? The next second, her father called. Did you piss off Jian Moi again? Didn't I tell you to apologize to him? You're useless. Can't even hold onto your own husband. You don't have the money, and I'm not going to pay. If you want to pay him back, the only way is to sell the house your mother left you. Figure it out yourself. Ruon's eyes turned red with anger. She tried to hold back her sobs and retorted, that house was left to me by my mother. Even if it's sold, I should be the one to keep the money. The house is in my name. I'll do whatever I want with it. Go apologize to Jian Moi now. Don't piss him off again. Or don't blame me for the consequences. The call ended. The weak Ruon burst into tears, stood by and watched her coldly. A classic case of a hopeless mess. Had just gained access to and viewed some information about the male and female leads. The house was indeed left by her mother, but after her mother went into a vegetative state, her father used the excuse of medical treatment to trick her into signing over the house, and from then on, he never cared about her mother again. He then sued for divorce and married another woman. Ruon saw through his true colors. When she grew up, she took her mother and left, struggling to get by. Later, she accidentally met Jian Moi. When her father found out, he quickly pushed her into his bed. Thus, they got married. A marriage that began in shame and gradually slid into a pit of tragedy. Jian Moi despised her father's character and, at the same time, looked down on Ruon for the way she entered his life. He always maintained a superior position over both of them. He loved Ruon but refused to humble himself to start over. He hated her father but still used him to corner Ruon, leaving her with no way out. She had to endure, to rely on him to live. It wasn't until Ruon was pushed to a mental breakdown that he began to regret it, starting a belated pursuit. As for Ruon, according to the information I saw, she genuinely loved Jian Moi. He was a few years older than her. When they were in school, they were in the same club, but at that time, he was preparing to hand over his duties and graduate. Stories about him continued to circulate, becoming her inspiration for many years. She once saw him as a role model, secretly aiming to become someone like him. But life didn't go as planned. Jian Moi remained as brilliant as ever, while she fell to the bottom, with no home to return to, no place to shelter. Then came family interference and mounting misunderstandings. Although the final outcome was happy, the path to it was filled with pain and humiliation. He didn't know if Ken Ruon could stand it, but I couldn't. Wealth system like me never accepted being bully. It waited until she finished crying before speaking coldly. What are you crying for? I'm sorry, how much does your mother's medical treatment cost? A few million, not much. Said bluntly, it's just the price of a few bags Jian Moy bought for his sister, a piece of jewelry your father gave his new wife, or a car your sister just bought. Everyone has money, so why are you so poor? Is it because in their eyes, you were never family, nor a lover? Hit by this, Ken Ruon cried even harder. Does electrocute me to death. Stop talking. Boo-hoo, fine by me. Fulfilled her wish immediately. With a click, she was instantly shocked into unconsciousness. Ken Ruon cursed me with her eyes when she groggily woke up. It was the next day. This time, Jian Moi's expression was even darker than the day before. He gripped her wrist tightly. Do you think I'll pity you if you torture yourself? A woman who doesn't respect herself doesn't deserve anyone's love. He looked at her coldly and warning you. Don't pull these tricks again. This is the second and last time. Won't come again. He stood up to leave, but stopped at the door, turning to look at her, his gaze cold and complex. In Ruon, don't let me look down on you. Her tears had run dry. She opened her mouth to say something, but the words about the system got stuck in her throat and couldn't come out. In the end, she could only muster a little bit of rationality. Sorry to have bothered you. It won't happen again. Jian Moi left, the door closed, and she was alone in the room. Ken Ruon took a deep breath and said in a low voice, System, let's talk seriously. What exactly do you want me to do? What do I want you to do? Oh, I just don't want you to be bullied by others. I originally came here for a vacation, to live a leisurely life like a tourist who knew I'd be thrown into a pit full of drama as soon as I arrive. It pisses me off so much I want to skewer the scriptwriter. Can't live in a mess like this. You, Ken Ruon, must become a completely different Ken Ruon. At first, I was going to just throw 10 billion at you and make you spend it all within a set time. But then I reconsider. With your soft personality, even with 100 billion, you just hand it all over to others, crying while you do it. Have to make you understand that the system's money isn't easy to get. Said slowly, I am a satisfying story system. My mission is to turn an abusive story into a satisfying one. You are the female lead I've chosen. You have to make your life more awesome, or it'll electrocute you. In Ruon was stunned, clearly unable to believe in the existence of something like me. But what do I have to do to make my life better? Slap those shameless people. Each slap is worth 10,000. The system will score based on the level of satisfaction. The higher the score, the more rewards. Points can be exchanged for items. For example, medicine to wake your mother up. In Ruon's eyes lit up immediately. You can wake my mother up. Yes, she barely hesitated. We'll do it. We'll do it. I agree. In Ruon's eyes brightened a little, snorted lightly, not quite believing it. You can't just become tough by saying you will. Immediately gave an order. Call Ken Guoxi now. Tell him to return your mother's house, or you'll divorce Jian Moi immediately. In Ruon's eyes widened, her mouth agape, her face full of hesitation. My father, he is not your father. I cut her off as trash, scum. From now on, don't call him father in front of me. Call him by his full name. Den Guoxim in Guoxim one agreed to shouting known 543. Bill called him Ruon hurriedly, dialed the down on, but was almost a whisper again. They hin Guoxim, give me back my mother's house, or we'll divorce Jian Moi. It was completely speechless, but he whispering so he can't hear you. I immediately sent a current through. Speak up, haven't you eaten? Ken Ruon's tears, gritting her teeth against the pain, and yelled, Ken Guoxing, you have 3 days to return my mother's house, or don't blame me for being ruthless. The other end of the line immediately exploded. You bitch, are you trying to rebel? Do you still see me as your father? Don't even think about touching that house. We'll sell it. He'll demolish it before I give it to you. In Ruon panicked, about to reason with him again. What's the point? If reasoning worked, what would be the need for laws? I immediately took over, using Ken Ruon's voice to shout into the phone. You shameless old man, you just wait. If I don't get the deed today, you won't have a moment of peace. You won't just divorce Jian Moi, I'll slap him too, will make you lose your business support and make your life a living hell. After hanging up, Ken Ruon stood frozen as if struck by lightning. Said coolly, follow me. Where? Where are we going? To the Ken family home. On the way, I even planned to stop and buy a baseball bat. Ken Ruon sobbed while clutching the car seat. The name Ken Ruon was indeed fitting. She was so weak it drove me crazy. When we arrived at the Ken house, Ken Guoxing was boiling with rage. As soon as he saw Ken Ruon, he was like a dog seeing its prey, grabbing a cup and throwing it to the ground. You evil spawn. Kneel. Ken Ruon trembled with anger, sneered faintly. Try reasoning with him again. Maybe he'll be so moved he'll turn over a new leaf. Ken Ruon gritted her teeth, shakily went upstairs, pulled out a bat, and came back down. She gripped the bat tightly, her voice trembling but her eyes firm. Give me back my mother's house. In Guoxing glare, what do you think you're doing? Ken Ruon shut her eyes tightly and swung. Smash, the television shattered, glass fragments flying everywhere. A loud noise echoed through the spacious room. In Guoxing screamed in panic. You're crazy, you're really crazy. Yes, I'm crazy, you drove me crazy. In Ruin raised the bat and began smashing things without hesitation. Because you tricked me out of the house my mother left me. Because you transferred all the assets, stealing my mother's hard-earned money. Because you brought another woman into this house. Because you're biased and treated me like I didn't exist. Because you sold me for your own benefit, pushing me into Jian Mai's bed. Because you're deep in debt but still pretend to run a company, dirt poor but still obsessed with face. Over the years, Qin Ruin had been pushed to her limit. Everyone knew her only weakness was her mother, and everyone used it to threaten her. The female leads in these abusive stories usually have impossibly high morals, only knowing how to bow their heads and endure in front of scumbags. The first step now was to shatter that weak shell and begin a life of true liberation. Everything hanging on the walls, placed on tables, inside glass cabinets, she smashed it all. In Guoxing was so scared his face went pale. He shrank back, not daring to get close when Qin Ruin raised the bat, preparing to bring it down on a precious porcelain vase. He finally couldn't take it anymore and screamed, "Done, that's worth 8 million. In Ruin's eyes were red as she screamed back, 8 million, you have money to buy an 8 million yuan vase but no money to treat my mother. No money to pay back Jian Mai." In Guoxing nearly burst into tears. "Stop smashing things. We'll give the house back to you." Just then, a shrill voice rang out. "What are you people doing? How dare you smash up my house? Are you all crazy?" Song Ge-hua, Qin Ruin's stepmother, ran down from upstairs in her pajamas, her voice grating. Behind her was her own daughter. "Insia, you bitch, you dare to barge into my house and cause trouble. I'll beat you to death." Insia ripped the headband from her hair, threw it on the ground, and charged at Qin Ruin. Just as her hand was about to touch Qin Ruin, I let out a zap. A current of electricity shot straight into her. Insia collapsed to the ground, her whole body convulsing. Qin Ruin immediately rushed forward, pinned her down, and slapped her hard. "You're the bitch, your whole family are dogs, her mother was a mistress, and you're learning to be one too. Have you never seen a man before? Why don't you donate that thick skin of yours to someone who needs it? Slapping you even hurts my hand." Even conveniently turned on some background music to fit the mood. 10,000 yuan ding. 10,000 ding. 10,000, the ding. 10,000 yuan sound seemed to go on endlessly. The more Qin Ruin slapped, the more energized she became. In Guoxing and Song Ge-hua rushed over to intervene. They were vicious, one pulling her hair, the other grabbing her arm. Showed no mercy, electrocuting all three of them, and so the three of them convulsed in unison, lined up neatly on the floor. Finally Qin Ruin was exhausted, her hair mass clothes disheveled, face scratched, and nose bleeding, but right now she looked like a warrior. She staggered over to Song Ge-hua, grabbed her by the collar, and slap, 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 landed several more slaps on her face. "This is for you being a mistress, for bullying my mother. This is for you stealing my living expenses and tuition. This is for you telling Qin Guoxing not to treat my mother. You all deserve to die, a bunch of vile, disgusting dogs." Her voice broke on the last sentence. Song Ge-hua's face was swollen, her lips trembling. We'll sue you. Go ahead and sue. My husband is Jian Mai. Let's see who is it worse." She stood up, walked over to Qin Guoxing, and raised her hand. Qin Guoxing was so scared he covered his head in cower. Qin Ruin said coldly, "The house D, it has to be done today." Qin Guoxing tremblingly called his lawyer. Not long after the lawyer arrived, he was stunned by the chaotic scene in the room but didn't dare ask much. He quickly completed the authorization procedures and rushed off with the documents to handle the transfer. Qin Guoxing seemed to think his debt was paid and immediately regained his arrogance. "Get out, and never set foot in this house again." Qin Ruin snorted, not bothering to reply. She turned, went into the kitchen, pulled out a large sack, and started clearing out everything in the house. Valuable antiques, expensive decorations, whatever she saw, she stuffed into the sack, not even sparing the 8 million yuan vase. Qin Guoxing roared, "Put that down. What do you think you're doing?" Qin Ruin held up the vase, her voice icy. "Agree and give me money, disagree and I smash it, you choose." Qin Guoxing gritted his teeth. "Already gave you the house, that was mine to begin with." Qin Ruin retorted coldly, "When I got married, did you give me a single penny of dowry? How can you be so unfilial? You don't bring money home, and you dare to ask for a dowry." Qin Ruin laughed out of anger. "When Kinsei gets married, you better not give her a cent, or I'll come and wreck the wedding." Qin Guoxing's face turned red with fury. "Fine. Take it all. Get out of my sight." Qin Ruin carried the sack of goods out at the door. She stopped, turned back to look at his anxious face, and a corner of her lip curled up. "Bring the deed to me when the transfer is done, otherwise, I'll come get it myself." Her eyes swept over the larger items she couldn't carry, as if memorizing each one. Qin Guoxing gritted his teeth and growled, "Don't worry, you won't be short." After Qin Ruin left, Qin Guoxing slammed the door shut. Shrill curses and loud sobs echoed through the villa, broadcast a live feed for Qin Ruin to see. Qin Guoxing was hugging Song Ge-hua and Kinsei, all three of them crying together. Song Ge-hua and Kinsei screamed about suing Qin Ruin. Qin Guoxing immediately stopped them. "You can't sue. Why not? She's Jiang Moi's wife, and Mashu Jiang Moi's wife. Do I still want to do business? Jian Moi doesn't love her. In say a yell. In Guoxing snapped. If he doesn't love her, would he marry a girl with nothing, lend me 20 million without hesitation, and even take care of our family's business? I'm a man, don't you think I can tell if he loves her or not? Then what should I do? I love Jian Moi too, that bitch Can Ruin doesn't deserve him. In Saya cried her heart out. In Guoxing immediately softened his tone, coaxing her with the gentle expression of a model father. Don't worry, when Jian Moi gets tired of her, Dad will find a way to marry you to him. That man is responsible. At worst, we'll just stage another scene of catching them in the act. In Ruin felt like she had been struck by lightning. He drugged me and put me in Jian Moi's bed. Exactly, I confirmed calmly. Can Ruin, who had been blind for so long, now knew the truth. Her hands and feet trembled in disbelief. Oh, I won't forgive him. He will never forgive him. Her eyes were red, tears streaming down her face. Continued to add fuel to the fire. You have two choices now. 1. Stay silent and let your rights slip away. 2. Use your status as Jian Moi's wife and make yourself untouchable. This is a multiple choice question, and Ruin clenched her fists. Choose Bo. Very good. Held my head high. My voice tinged with pride. Now, let's go shopping. Have you ever seen a satisfying story? Female Lee is poor as you. As my host, you must know how to spend money. That's a basic obligation. In Ruin nodded dazedly, feeling that everything I said was now the gospel truth. Arriving at the shopping mall, Can Ruin immediately faltered. She was nominally the eldest daughter of the Can family, but in reality she had lived so frugally for years that she was worse off than an ordinary person. Tuition, living expenses, her mother's medical bills, she shouldered it all herself. Her stepmother secretly skimmed her living expenses. And her father turned a blind eye after marrying Jian Moi. He once gave her a black card. However, she suffered from a strange kind of moral cleanliness. She always felt it was wrong to have married Jian Moi through trickery, so she absolutely forbade herself from taking anything more from him. Subconsciously, she set a series of rules for herself. First, don't embarrass Jian Moi. Second, don't spend Jian Moi's money. Third, don't use the title of my sis for personal gain. In short, even after getting married, she put several more shackles on herself, a typical female lead of an abusive story. But I didn't care. We wealth systems were born to spend money. Remember my past hosts starting with 10 billion, 100 billion. Only she was the opposite. Even writing an EU to Jian Moi for her mother's medical bills, she only had a few thousand yuan on her, money she had just received for some illustration work. Plus the 450,000 she just earned from slapping people. Altogether, it was just enough to buy a nice bag. But still not enough for a full set. Sniff, she reeked of both noble purity and abject poverty. My voice was indifferent. Can take back that junk you looted from the Can family, considering it was your first rampage and you knew to both hit and loot. I decided to reward you with 10 million. In Ruin's eyes widened. Ow. How much? I replied casually. Not a penny more. 10 million. Take it or leave it. In Ruin immediately covered her mouth, popping on her toes like a little bird. System, come out. I want to hug you. Boo-hoo, you're so good to me. Really the best person to me. He was silent. Umph, what a traitorous human. Trying to charm me again. Took back the old stuff. And Can Ruin's account immediately had over 10 million. Her presence soared, her back straightened as if she had grown a new spine, and she strode into the store like a queen on inspection. Gave an order. The total bill cannot be less than 5 million. Or the money on the card will be wiped clean. In Ruin was stunned but obediently started swiping the card and shopping. After a whirlwind shopping spree, as she was about to pay, I leisurely added, "Use Jian Moi's card." Oh. I continued coolly. Jian Moi dared to threaten you the other day. The female lead of a satisfying story must take revenge for every wrong. If you can slap his face for now, just spend all his money first. In Ruin started to panic. This is 5 million. Not 5,000 or 50,000. Besides, he and I are just barely acquaintances now. Immediately replayed the recording of her at the Kin house. Her voice then was full of bravado. Go ahead, Ensu. My husband is Jian Moi. Let's see who is it worse. He even deliberately replayed it once then again. In Ruin was so embarrassed she wanted to dig a hole and crawl into it. He was forced to say that back then he didn't want to get involved in a lawsuit. So I was just scaring them. Besides, I feel like Jian Moi doesn't even want me as his wife if I take his money. I laughed coldly. My dear girl, the law doesn't recognize the concept of a fake marriage. Your marriage certificate is real, not a photocopy. I advise you to openly use your status as my messaging. Right, not used will soon be revoked. It's better just spend it openly and confidently than to be sneaky and timid. In the end, Can Ruin still swiped Jian Moi's card, but she was anxious the whole way home. As soon as she got home, she found Jian Moi there, a rare sight. Can Ruin froze at the door, clutching her shopping bags as if they were hot coals. Jian Moi sat on the sofa, his hands resting on his knees, his gaze calm and unfathomably deep. He went to the Kin family home today to get my things back. In Ruin lowered her head, avoiding his gaze, put down the bags. and quietly changed her shoes, looking for all the world like she had done something wrong. You trashed the Qin family home. Did Qin Guoxing tell you? He wants to participate in a project of the Jin family. Yan Mai's voice carried an unreadable tone. Bin Ruan was speechless. It had always been like this. Every time she had a conflict with the Qin family, Qin Guoxing would take the opportunity to curry favor with Jian Mai. The feeling of indebtedness in her heart grew heavier and heavier, so heavy that she didn't dare to do anything, didn't dare to resist. The relationship between her and Jian Mai was less like husband and wife, and more like creditor and debtor. Rolled my eyes and threatened coldly, just tell him straight. The mouth is for speaking, not for mumbling. If you drag this out any longer, don't blame me for electrocuting you. In Ruan took a deep breath. And could you please zap me lightly to give me some courage? My eyes widened in disbelief. Who gave you the nerve to treat me like a portable charger? Though I said that, I still gently sent a little electricity to her temples. Fengshi and Beihui Aki points to clear her mind. If she stuttered and couldn't win the argument against Jian Moi, I would die of anger. In Ruan shuddered, her eyes as sharp as a hawk's, staring at Jian Moi. What are you planning to do? Jian Moi remained silent, just looking at her, his eyes a bottomless pit. In Ruan slowly walked over, stood in front of him, and answered firmly. Me. Jian Moi frowned, looking uncomfortable. This project does have a part that the Qin family can handle. Flap. In Ruan raised her hand and slapped him hard. Froze. When my good female lead is becoming a masterpiece. Jian Moi was stunned, then flew into a rage. He shot up, grabbed her hand, and gritted his teeth. In Ruan, what the hell do you think you're doing? You are the real scum, Jian Moi. In Ruan's presence was now even more formidable than his. I'm on the front lines, fighting Qin Guoxing with my life, and you're in the rear, supplying the enemy. Am I your wife or your enemy? Why are you joining forces with the person I hate the most? Why are you cornering me with that bastard until I have nowhere to go? The more she spoke, the more her emotions spiraled out of control. Tears fell, drop by drop. She glared at him, trying to hold back. But unfortunately, the female lead of an abusive novel had no control over her tear ducts. The tears flowed even more smoothly than the convoluted plot between them. Young Mai's brow furrowed tightly, his expression like he was constipated. You slapped me, and now you're crying. In Ruan, are you even being reasonable? Hin Ruan wiped her tears and gritted her teeth. You want to talk reason? Then let me ask you, why did you lend Qin Guoxing 20 million? Jian Moya was slightly taken aback. Lend him money, shouldn't you thank me? Hin Ruan nearly went insane. Thank my ass. Thank all 18 generations of your ancestors. To have produced someone as brilliant as you, who personally sets a fire and invites strangers to burn down your own house, had to kneel and beg to get 20,000 from him for my mother's hospital bills. The moment I turned around, he took your 20 million. So what did I suffer for? Was I born to suffer? Am I the kind of person who willingly demeans herself? She took a deep breath, her voice trembling with rage. And another thing, why did you give the project to the Qin family? You know the relationship between me and Qin Guoxing. Time and time again, he chose to side with him. Or are you only satisfied when I'm miserable? Jian Moi didn't speak, as if afraid that one wrong word would make the situation worse. His silence made Qin Ruan even more aggrieved. Can't even answer that. Then why did you get married? She looked straight at him, each word torn from her chest. Let me tell you, Qin Guoxing is not my father. He is scum, an animal, the one who swindled me out of the house my mother left me. Hate him. I wish the Qin family would just go bankrupt. But you give him a big order, helping the Qin family prosper. Jian Moi, what the hell do you want? Why do you oppose everything I want to do? Who did you want to marry? Me or Qin Guoxing? If it's me, why do you torture me? If it's him, why don't you just sleep with him? Crazy, you're all crazy. If you gave Qin Ruan a shovel right now, she would probably dig up the Jian family's ancestral graves. Jian Mai's face was ashen. Gave him money and the order because I hope the Qin family could also become a wealthy family, so no one would criticize your status. No one would say you're not good enough for me. Qin Ruan was momentarily choked up. Unable to respond, she seemed a little moved. No, you can't be softened by a few clit romantic lines. Who am I? I am a wealth system. The world's #1 expert in pointing out logical fallacies. Lifted my chin arrogantly. Don't tell me you've been swayed by a few of his words. If his brain isn't clear, you have to be. Who is he really helping by helping the Qin family? You or himself? Who cares about your status? Do you care? Does your mother care? Does Qin Guoxing care? Does anyone in the Qin family genuinely value you? They treat your status like dirt. The only one who cares about status is him. And Ruan was jolted awake as if hit by a stick. She pushed Jian Moi away forcefully and gritted her teeth. He was almost manipulated by you. On our wedding day, didn't you know my status in the Qin family? She looked straight at him, her voice trembling with grievance. Qin Ruan, am just a girl unloved by her father, oppressed by her stepmother, bullied by her sister, with no say in the family. If you felt I was beneath you, you could have not married me. Didn't force you to, but you did marry me. And then you complain that I'm not worthy, that my status isn't high enough for you, tormenting me on one hand while helping my enemy on the other. And you still want me to be grateful? Want me to love you? You're so good at calculating. Why don't you just go die? Shumo's face turned pale. It's not like that. His voice was hoarse. He had hoped you would be respected, but look down upon by others. All what happened at the party that day. Just wanted to help you. Is that wrong to you? He mentioned the fashion party where Kim Ruon was ostracized by the social circle, pushed to the side during focus, and had her seat changed repeatedly. Ian Moy overheard the gossip behind his back, saying he didn't love her, that the marriage was only for status, that the Kim family was just an ordinary family. If they were a truly wealthy family, even if he didn't love her, people would still give Kim Ruon some face. Perhaps those words touched the softest spot in his heart, making him decide to support Kim Gwoksing to help the Kim family rise in status, so Kim Ruon would no longer be looked down upon. Hearing this, Kim Ruon laughed. This time, without my reminder, she retorted sharply and soberly on her own. Ian Moy, I really don't understand you. Can't even rely on you. Yet you expect me to rely on Kim Gwoksing if he becomes wealthy. Will this abandoned daughter get to benefit? And you say you understand me, you're all the same kind of scum. With that, she slammed the door right in his face. Ian Moy was dumbfounded, his expression on the verge of going berserk. All the aristocratic grace cultivated over 30 years vanished without a trace. He pulled out his phone to ask his group of friends, how do you console an angry girl? Then messaged his secretary, cease all cooperation with the Kim family. Of the lawyers demand repayment immediately after finishing. He opened and closed the chat with Kim Ruon, tipping and deleting, opening and closing again. In the end, he could only pace back and forth in front of her room like a caged animal, unable to find a way out. He was, at this moment, truly a man who had lost his mind over love. In the closed room was Kim Ruon, unhappy, very unhappy. She buried her face in the bed and cried silently, yawned and slowly activated the system notification to liven up the atmosphere. 1 million yuan. In Ruon's tear-filled eyes immediately widened. You made a mistake, said nonchalantly, then I'll take it back. And Ruon hurriedly said, don't, you didn't make a mistake. I miss Bo. She was truly human. No matter how righteous, in the face of money, one learns to lie in an instant. Cleared my throat considering your excellent performance today. Clear logic. Daring to break your own limits. A true satisfying story. Female lead. The remaining 990,000 is a bonus for you. A clear system of rewards and punishments is more effective. In Ruon blush. Thank you, system. Did it seem like a mad-woman today? I glanced at her without answering. She didn't wait for a reply and continued. But I feel so relieved. I've never felt so at ease for a long time. I felt trapped in a cage. Everyone wanted to tame me. In Gwoksing suppressed me. Jian Moy was cold as ice. One side was my husband's family, the other my mother's. Yet both were slowly suffocating me, leaving me with no place to call sanctuary. The strange thing is, they always claimed they wanted what was best for me, wanted to teach me to be proper. The only place that felt like home was the hospital where my mother lay. Ruon spoke while crying, like a small animal that had lost its shelter, scared, panicked, only able to curl up in a dark corner. He cut her off in a cold voice. Men are born knowing how to protect each other. They are a natural interest group. Without anyone teaching them, they know how to weave a net together to swallow women whole who are not a daughter, not a wife, but a tool for them to display their prowess, to satisfy their possessive egos. If you want to win, you have to wake up. When the female lead of a satisfying story encounters trouble, she absolutely doesn't just cry. If you want to cry, you have to cry while thinking of a solution. Gently reminded her, you are a wealthy woman now. And Ruon's eyes suddenly lit up like a shooting star in the dark night. With Kim Ruon in rebellion, Jian Moy's days immediately became difficult. And Ruon ignored him completely. There was no breakfast, no dinner, and no reporting her whereabouts when she left the house. Now, Jian Moy couldn't track Kim Ruon's movements at all. He frowned every day, opening the chat with her countless times. But the message history remained empty. He pretended to be cool and asked his secretary, what is madam doing? The secretary was at a loss for words, not daring to speak. Yo, wouldn't it be faster if you asked her yourself? He had to bite the bullet and act as a bridge, messaging Kim Ruon. Although Kim Ruon was kind enough not to make things difficult for the secretary, her tone was icy. Tell Jian Moy to ask me himself. Doesn't he have a mouth? When these words reached Jian Moy, his face immediately darkened, as black as the bottom of a pot. His mood was terrible. He waved the secretary out, holding his phone in his hand, feeling as if he were holding a time bomb. After a long hesitation, he finally typed out a message. What are you doing? But what awaited him was only a cold exclamation mark. Din Ruon had blocked him. In that moment, Jian Moy's entire pride shattered into dust. Unwilling to give up, he repeatedly sent messages and called. Every time a call was blocked, Kim Ruon would calmly block a new number. Utterly helpless, Jian Moy could only leave work early and go home to wait for her. That night, Kim Ruon came home very late, exhausted. Seeing Jian Moy sitting on the sofa with a gloomy expression, she showed no fear. After changing her shoes, She acted as if she didn't see his scrutinizing gaze and turned to enter the bathroom. In ruin. Let's talk. He finally couldn't hold it in any longer. How long have you waited? 1 year, 3 months, and 15 days. Ian Moy was stunned in an instant. He understood everything. Ian Kin Ruin had been married for exactly 1 year, 3 months, and 15 days. For that same amount of time, he had been cold to her, indifferent, never truly caring. Ruin was giving it all back to him, and the most painful part was that he had no reason to argue. In recent days, he had asked countless people for advice. His friends each offered a different suggestion, but none of them were useful. Finally, Jian Moi quietly went online to seek out relationship experts, and so, the love guru and wealth system officially entered the scene. I created a relationship counseling account and quickly attracted tens of millions of likes. Then, I used a loophole in the algorithm to make my videos constantly appear in front of Jian Moi. As a result, he took the bait, started luring Jian Moi into buying a love counseling package. Each consultation cost 10,000 yuan. Under my sophisticated inducement and silver ton, he bought the premium monthly package for 1 million, and then he poured out all his troubles. My wife and I didn't start off well, but I really like her. Otherwise, I wouldn't have insisted on taking responsibility for her back then. It's just that I always felt she got close to me for ulterior motives. Just thinking about that, I couldn't treat her normally. A few days ago, I misunderstood her about something, and now she has blocked me and might even ask for a divorce. What should I do now? I didn't hold back and gave him a piece of my mind. This is obviously your fault. If you play, you have to accept losing. If you cared, you shouldn't have married her. If you married her, you shouldn't have been resentful. You're the type who wants it both ways. So wife is for loving you. On the other hand, psychologically manipulated her, were cold to her, and emotionally drained her. Are you even a man? How did you make so much money with such a low E? Don't tell me you've bent every rule in the criminal code. Or maybe your ancestors' graves are emitting green smoke and saved you. I advise you to get a divorce immediately if you have any humanity left. Give her a few billion in compensation and let her live in peace. Being a cold man like you is 8 lifetimes of bad luck. After the divorce, don't even think about getting married again. Listen to me, you were born with a Y-killer fate. You're not suited for marriage. Jian Moi replied coldly, give me my money back. Sent him a mucking emoji. Fund. No way. I'm a rare species of wealth system that only takes, never gives back. Then I blocked him, feeling so happy I wanted to blast some remix music and celebrate. Seeing him so angry he couldn't find me was truly satisfying, but Jian Moi suddenly had an epiphany. He seriously wrote 2 lines in his notebook. Honesty is the ultimate trump card. First step, a sincere apology. Next step, pursue her again with all my heart. Didn't tell Ken Ruin about this. After all, my identity is a wealth system. Money comes first, feelings second. As long as I have money, men will naturally come flocking. Besides, as long as Ken Ruin lowered her sky, high moral standards a bit, her life could easily enter a state of having a man on each arm. Jian Moi blocked her on the stairs, his voice low. It stopped all support for the Kin family. Hin Guoxing will probably contact you soon. You should be prepared. Ken Ruin paused for a moment, then quickly regained her composure. Got it. Jian Moi lowered his eyes, a rare tension on his face. You've moved your mother to a new nursing home, right? Please don't move her again. Promise I will never make that mistake again. In Ruin furrowed her brow, her gaze bone, killingly cold. Don't even dream of it. You will never give you another chance to control me. Even though I owe you for part of the medical fees, I already wrote an you, yet you dared to use cutting off her treatment to threaten me. In Guoxing bullied my mother because she didn't have time to write a will, and you bullied my mother because she couldn't sit up and curse you, right? On this point, you and Kin Guoxing are no different. Both you use that method to communicate with me. It proves that in your eyes, I was never a human being. You just want me to obey and fear you, even if you do something wrong. I have to obediently come back and apologize. You didn't marry a wife, you wanted to raise a dog. Jian Wei became frantic. Not like that. Never thought that way. Yes. I've never been in love. Don't know how to treat a girl. Then Ruin was furious, throwing the handbag in her hand at him. Then how do you know how to treat Kin Xia? How do you know how to make her grin from ear to ear? How do you know how to please Kin Guoxing? He needed money. You gave him money. He needed connections. You gave him connections. It was Kin Guoxing who drugged me and pushed me into your bed. Is the perpetrator. And you and I are both victims. All your anger was directed at me, who was also a victim. And then you even used the excuse of for my sake to pour money and resources into that bastard. On this point, I am stronger than you. I have always fought, never bowed my head. What about you? You only know how to bully the weak. Jian Moi, you are truly scam. I despise you. We will never ever forgive you. Jian Moi's face turned pale, as if all the strength had been drained from his body. He stood there stunned, only able to repeat one meaningless sentence. Admit I was wrong. It was truly wrong. I just didn't know how to face you, didn't know how to live with you, misunderstood that you weren't sincere. Then Ruin was so angry she paced back and forth in the room. Jian Moi, you better sit down and think carefully. You can want anything from me, because in your subconscious, you already see me as an object that belongs to you. You think you have the right to control me. As soon as I stop being obedient, You punish me, you use my mother to threaten me, use money to coerce me, even an animal would have to call you granddaddy. What's next? Are you going to use my body, my self-respect to force me to submit? Jian Mui shook his head repeatedly, his voice almost breaking. No, I would never do those things. You abide by the law. Kinruon laughed coldly. It's just that I'm still resisting, so you haven't had the chance yet. If I didn't resist, you would have already stripped me to the bone, and then blamed me for having bones that were too hard. Why don't you dare to do that to others? Why don't you dare to treat Kin Guoxing like that? It's not that you don't dare, but that you can. They are not your objects. Even if you despise them, you at least see them as human beings, but I'm different. In your eyes, and just something you can manipulate at will, something that has to wag its tail and submit to your control. A single call. In Guoxing, the man who harmed you and your wife, is even your natural ally. When you can no longer control me, you borrow his hand to force me into line. He is your good dog, so of course you can't bear to let the Kin family fall. And you even use my name to help him rise. He gets money, you get benefits, and the one who loses is me. But now I'm not playing anymore. It flipped your chessboard, and you're starting to panic. Ian Moy bowed his head in misery, his deep, dark eyes tinged with red. Don't think so badly of me. You've really thought it through. Love you. It was too harsh before because I couldn't accept the ugly beginning between us. I was also blinded by Kinsei. That you insist on seeing me as an irredeemable scumbag. Really can stand that. Enough. Xiang Moi. Inrun lifted her head, her gaze as proud as a queen's. Out here blaming everything on Kinsei. Where did she get the guts to slander me? You gave her those guts. She and I had no deep connection. She slandered me only because she wanted the title of my Sesjan and I was in her way. In short, the fault lies with you. You don't know how to keep yourself in check. Surrounded by butterflies, not upholding your duties as a husband. You were clearly married, yet you were secretly ambiguous with someone else, giving them hope. You brinde Kinsei, then came home and were cold as ice to me. What's wrong? Can't you smile when you see my face? Or is there something wrong with your nerves from birth? You toyed with 2 women, couldn't appease either, and then blamed everyone else. Is your fishing net too heavy for you to carry? Then can I carry it? For several nights after, Jian Moi was so devastated he couldn't sleep. Under the guise of a love guru, I proactively appeared in his WeChat friend list and sent a message. Apology failed, didn't it? Jian Moi's eyes immediately lit up like a spark in the dark. Continued to analyze his and Kinruon's psychology, hitting the nail on the head every time. 1 million. Will teach you how to apologize properly. Jian Moi replied, you're trying to trick me again, said nonchalantly, then I'm leaving. He immediately replied, wait, let me think about it. And so I tricked him out of another million. The moment the money hit the account, I was a little stunned. Honestly, the money of people drowning in the brain fog of love is frighteningly easy to earn. Just send him a short paragraph. Apologies aren't just about words, they must be shown through actions. Whatever she lacks, you must compensate. Whatever she desires, you must give. Whatever she hates, you must hate too. Make her your one and only priority. If you don't even know what she needs, likes, and hates, then it proves you never loved her. In that case, just get a proper divorce, compensate her with a few billion, and learn to live a decent life. He only left that and disappeared without a trace. After all, I had to prove with practical actions that a person can indeed fall into the same pit twice. After arranging for her mother's care, Kinru immediately threw herself into work with great enthusiasm. She established her own studio and began to independently manage her passion project. A webcomic. She had previously created a Shang-Chia series and had a feeling it would be popular, so she held on to it, unwilling to sell the rights outright. Now with capital in hand, she naturally had to invest seriously. On one side, Kinruon was so busy she was run off her feet. On the other, King Guoxing was in deep trouble, with his orders cut off by Jian Moi and creditors chasing him relentlessly. He still thought Kinruon would soften and beg Jian Moi as before, so he called her out of habit to curse at her. Only after calling did he realize Kinruon had blocked him. The numbers of Song Beihua and Kinsei were also blocked, and Guoxing was furious, cursing wildly, but then he realized he no longer had anything to threaten Kinruon with. In the end, he had to humble himself and go find Jian Moi. He went many times. The last time waiting for 4 hours just to see him. Jian Moi didn't even look up. I'll only forgive you if Kinruon forgives you. My wife and I are one. If she doesn't forgive you. He glanced at King Guoxing, his gaze chilling to the bone. King Guoxing immediately understood. This time, Jian Moi was serious about protecting Kinruon. If he couldn't appease her, the Qin family was truly finished. He rushed to find Kinruon. Took him considerable effort to find her studio's address, only to be stopped by security at the door. Kinruon looked down from upstairs, her gaze cold as she watched him argue with the security guard. Then with a receptionist, his face as dark as a thundercloud. In the past, she had to go through many hurdles to enter the Qin house, suffering countless insults. There was no reason for King Guoxing to meet her so easily now. Let him wait, she sighed quietly. System. Money and power are truly wonderful things. Now that I have money, I can stand tall in front of anyone. Jian Moi has started to respect me. and Kin Guoxing can be blocked at the door. It's a pity that too many women are deprived of the right to own these two things. Without you, I might never have understood this principle. Bank account credited with 1 million yuan. Held my head high, my voice full of pride. Congratulations on discovering one of the world's blind spots for 1 million. In Ruin burst out laughing, then cried. In the end, Kin Guoxing had to wait at the door for several hours to finally intercept Kin Ruin. He had his usual fierce look, but when he saw the baseball bat in her hand, his bravado instantly deflated. Hiaoan, are you really so heartless as to watch your father go bankrupt? You were so sensible as a child. How did you become like this when you grew up? Kin Ruin felt sick listening to him. Standing beside her, wanted to puke too. Feelings that had never existed between them. Without any courtesy, I gave him a zap, making him stagger and fall. When he got up again, Kin Guoxing was much more obedient. His voice lowered. And tell me, what will it take for you to help me? Kin Ruin replied coldly, why should I help the Kin family? Do I have inheritance rights? Do I have any relationship with you people? If there's no connection, why should I help? Kin Guoxing had obviously anticipated this answer. He gritted his teeth and said slowly, then I'll give you 5 of the Kin family's shares. In Ruin's eyes turned red. She remembered clearly that year when Kin Guoxing was drunk. She tearfully begged him for 5 of the shares. He seemed to have nodded in his drunken stupor, but on her birthday, she waited from morning till night. The person who appeared was not him, but Kin Saya. Kin Saya was very smug that year, even saying to Kin Ruin's face, I should thank you. If you hadn't mentioned the shares, I wouldn't have remembered to ask Dad for them. Thanks a lot. Later, Kin Ruin found out that it was indeed her birthday that day. Kin Guoxing had been coaxed by Kin Saya, and easily gave her 10 of the shares, even taking her to complete the procedures, and her. She waited all day only to receive a nonchalant reply from him. How can you take words spoken when drunk seriously? That was the most suffocating day of Kin Ruin's life. What was so easy for others was something she couldn't get even by kneeling and begging. Even now, with his throat squeezed tight by Jia and Moe, Kin Guoxing still dared to use 5 of the shares to humiliate her. Kin Ruin laughed coldly, then let the Kin family go bankrupt. After saying that, she immediately acquired a company in the same industry as Kin Guoxing, personally negotiated as Jia and Moe's wife, and signed a contract. When this news spread, the two men had completely opposite reactions. When no one was around, Jia and Moe quietly laughed. In my eyes, that laugh was no different from a pervert who had just achieved his goal. After laughing, he immediately ordered his secretary to transfer all the orders originally given to Kin Guoxing to Kin Ruin's side, and even proactively called his friends in the industry, asking them to take care of her business. And Kin Ruin, she took it all. She now understood one thing clearly. It's foolish not to make money when you have it. Money can buy respect, support, and even goodwill. With nothing in your hands, no good things will fall from the sky, whether it's real or fake. Just enjoying it in the moment is enough. Meanwhile, Kin Guoxing sat in a thick cloud of smoke, smoking one cigarette after another, his face ashen. He finally called Kin Saya home and coaxed her into signing a share transfer contract, scraping together a total of 20, intending to use it to win Kin Ruin over. Kin Saya woke up from a nap and sensed something was wrong. She secretly went into Kin Guoxing's study to search. As a result, she found the share transfer contract, with the beneficiary being Kin Ruin. She immediately flew into a rage, screaming all over the house and then rushing off to find Kin Ruin. At that moment, she was like a madwoman. Even the security couldn't stop her. Kin Ruin didn't avoid her, even signaling for the door to be opened for her. The moment she stepped in, Kin Saya started cursing loudly. Kin Ruin delivered a sharp slap, sending her flying onto the sofa. Then she grabbed her collar, slap, 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 a dozen slaps in a row. When she had a free moment, she turned to me and complained, slapping hurts my hand. Can we change the method? It's swallowed. Painless, are we? Daring to make conditions with the system now. But that's good. This is the kind of female lead I want to nurture. He asked, so how do you want to change it? Kin Ruin said seriously. Let her slap herself. Will you still count the money for me? What a clever way to make a profit without capital. You're dreaming a beautiful dream, but I still not it next time. Be bold. As long as you dare to think, I dare to agree. Kin Ruin smiled. A smile full of confidence, pride, brilliance, and immense charm. Kin Saya was beaten dizzy and finally knew fear. The person in front of her was no longer the older sister she used to bully. Kin Saya held her cheek and screamed angrily, you forced my dad to transfer his shares to you. You didn't even spare my 10. Have you no shame? How did you become such a greedy woman? Kin Ruin was stunned. He immediately fast-forwarded the scene of Kin Guoxing tricking Kin Saya into signing the transfer for her to see again. As a result, Kin Ruin was speechless. Indeed, only Kin Guoxing could come up with such a scheme. Kin Ruin looked at Kin Saya, a flash of cold pity in her eyes. Kin Guoxing tricked you, and you run here to go crazy at me. Your mentality of women fighting among themselves is truly pathetic. You only know how to tear each other apart, never daring to confront the one who truly hurt you. You used to think he saw you as his hair, but now, looking back, Kin Ruin let out a soft, faint laugh. You're nothing more than a pampered pet cat, entertaining but of no real value. Insaya's eyes turned red and she screamed, "If it weren't for you, our family would have been fine. You jinx, why don't you just drop dead?" Slap. Ruin slapped her hard, the sound echoing in the silent air. "Stupid. No matter how many times I slap you, you probably won't wake up." Her voice was like ice. "Her mouth is filthy too. We'll call King Guoxing to come drag you back and see if he regrets it enough to strangle you. If he truly saw you as his heir, at your age, you would have been sent to the company for training long ago, not running around at social parties clinging to others to find a marriage alliance. You're just a tool. Yet you think you're special, truly stupid and unaware." And Ruin looked straight at her, each word piercing. If I were you, I would ask myself, with King Guoxing calculating every step, who exactly does he plan to leave his money to? I used to think it was you, but now it seems uncertain. Insaya's gaze suddenly froze, a hidden panic revealing itself in her eyes. Since childhood, she had been convinced that King Guoxing's assets would sooner or later be hers. That's why she dared to be arrogant and look down on everyone. But this time, the way King Guoxing coldly forced her to sign the transfer contract without hesitation or explanation had completely shattered that belief. Now she was starting to have doubts. Insaya threw out a hateful remark and fled in a panic, running as if a ghost were chasing her. Ruin watched her hurried back and sneered, "Coward, just like I used to be." He said lazily, "Not quite the same, at least you have a brain. And your education is miles ahead of hers." Ruin beamed, "System, I love you so much. I really love you." Ruin's career flourished under the name of Mrs. Jun. Getting orders was as easy as turning her hand. Yanmoi also changed noticeably, becoming much more obedient. When Ruin came home, she was often treated to his cooking. The first time, she looked at him as if she'd seen a ghost, while he naturally pulled out a chair for her, invited her to sit, and served her rice. "You took care of me for a year and 3 months. Now it's my turn to take care of you for a year and 3 months. After a year, well, be even, then we can talk about feelings. For now, just enjoy it." It had to be said. Jian Moi's cooking skills were top-notch. Ruin ate 2 full bowls without ceremony, and it gradually became a habit. If Jian Moi was home, he cooked. If he wasn't, the housekeeper had it prepared. Ruin no longer had to slave away in the kitchen or humble herself to please anyone. She mocked herself. This is what it means to live a proper life. I was too used to suffering before, to the point I didn't even know what suffering was anymore. In the study, Jian Moi even set aside a workspace for her. They sat opposite each other, each busy with their own work. If she didn't understand something, she would ask him directly, and he was always patient in his explanations, never perfunctory. Neither of them mentioned divorce, but Ruin and I once had a private conversation. Her voice was very soft then, but every word was stubborn to the bone. "Blindly entered this marriage, but I can't blindly walk out of it. If Jian Moi were a scumbag from beginning to end, I would have divorced him long ago without hesitation. But the problem is not. When he and I fought to our worst point, I fainted, and he still didn't abandon me. He's not entirely a bad person, and that's what makes everything so difficult. The reason I had the chance to turn my life around, frankly, was also by taking advantage of his love for me." Ruin sighed softly, her gaze strangely calm. "So, I think he'll let him take care of me for the full year and 3 months, as he said. After that, he'll decide how to move forward. Jian Moi, after all, is a very rare man. You want to try living with him for a while longer. If we can truly get along, I won't divorce him easily. If not, at least I will have completed a proper marriage, so I won't have any illusions in the future. From now on, if I love, I'll love, but no one should expect me to easily enter into marriage again," replied lazily. "My thoughts exactly. If you don't solve the problems within a marriage, divorcing 100 times is the same. The important thing is to solve the problem, not to carry all the trauma into a new relationship. And you certainly shouldn't let it become an obsession that hinders your personal growth. The fact that you can think this far proves you've truly broken free from the shackles of morality and public opinion. True satisfying story. Female leading. System reward. 10 million. Ruin was both happy and moved, her eyes welling with tears. "Did you know I was short on money? I've been really poor lately." Crossed my arms and smiled proudly at this small matter. What can escape my control? Guoxing brought the 20 shares to Ruin. She accepted them without ceremony. Guoxing thought that would settle everything, but to his surprise, after receiving the shares, Ruin didn't transfer the orders back to the Qin family. Jian Moi also ignored him completely. Guoxing was so angry he could barely breathe. He tried to call and curse at Ruin, but found he was blocked again. Unwilling to give up, he came to her studio every day to block her way until she was annoyed. Just then, the private investigator she hired found out that Guoxing was keeping a mistress and even had an illegitimate son. She immediately sent the information to Song Gaihua and Saya. From then on, Ruin's world became completely quiet. Meanwhile, the Qin family was in complete chaos. Song Gaihua and Guoxing fought to the point of turning the world upside down. In a fit of rage, she screamed a sentence that froze the air. "If you dare to betray me, I'll tell Ruin everything about how you pushed Lin Man down the stairs. Let's die together." The response to her threat was a loud slap from Guoxing. The two had completely fallen out. Saya was so scared she didn't dare to go home. In Ruin sat quietly listening to the recording, her face heavy, tears falling silently. It was kickboxing that animal harm to my mother. I want to kill him, to tear him apart piece by piece with my own hands. Placed a hand on her shoulder, and said in a low voice, the female lead of an abusive story is meant to be like this. Losing family, losing love, even losing the ability to love. That's how miserable it has to be. That's why I went crazy. But right now, it's not a dead end. Us them. Jian Moai walked in. Seeing Kin Ruin crying, his eyes showed clear pain. He sat down in front of her, his voice so gentle it almost dissolved into the air. I've invited a foreign expert who has a special method to awaken vegetative patience. Let's give it a try. Don't be too sad, okay? Then Ruin suddenly felt the pain in her heart ease a little. It wasn't because of love. Jianmoi no longer saw her as a burden. He saw through her pain instead of just bringing her hurt. That meant she had finally won something everyone should have. To be understood, to be respected, to be acknowledged under the expert's treatment. Her mother, Lin Man, finally woke up. In Ruin guarded the secret like a treasure, secretly taking her mother for rehabilitation. After work, Jianmoi would come to help. Very patient and fully cooperative, and it was true that for some of the heavy tasks, she really couldn't have managed without him. No one dictates whether the female lead of a satisfying story must get married or not. She should live as she pleases, deciding based on the situation. When Kin Ruin's mother, Lin Man, had almost fully recovered, she officially filed a lawsuit against Kin Guoxing, accusing him of pushing her from an upper floor after she caught him cheating, and then swallowing all her shares and assets, and abusing her daughter for many years. Once the lawsuit was made public, society was shocked. In her day, Lin Man was a famous female entrepreneur. Her sudden fall that led to her vegetative state had aroused public suspicion, but Kin Guoxing had an alibi, and the matter eventually died down. Now, the victim herself was pointing out the culprit, instantly dropping a bomb on the business world. And the clip I had saved was the ironclad evidence. In the end, Kin Guoxing was convicted of attempted murder, and forced to return all the assets he had usurped. Song Geiwa was also convicted as an accomplice. Insaya was left with no home and no one to rely on, and later left with someone, disappearing without a trace. The entire Kin family enterprise fell into Lin Man's hands. She didn't hesitate to regain control and then handed it all over to Kin Ruin. "A child," she said, her gaze gentle yet firm. "I don't know how much longer I have to live, but I hope you have the strength to live well. I only hope that in the future, whether you marry or not, you can become a powerhouse in your own right." Lin Man was an incredibly clear-headed woman. She never interfered in the relationship between Kin Ruin and Jianmoi, but she saw everything. She didn't say much, but she never gave Jianmoi a friendly glance. It was only then that Jianmoi truly understood why Kin Ruin had once said that only her mother was her home. Because a true home is a place that unconditionally shelters its child, a place that doesn't bow to money, status, or power. That night, Jianmoi cried. He choked out, "I'm such a bastard. I don't even understand why I treated you like that back then. Really regret it. Don't dare to hope for your immediate forgiveness. I only ask you to give me a chance to start over." Just then, I appeared in his contact list again. 1 million will teach you how to win over a woman. Jianmoi was silent for a few seconds, then obediently transferred 1 million. It was stunned. Good heavens, why is he so easily tricked out of his money every time? If I had known earlier, I would have cleaned him out long ago. Casually made something up, pretending to be a wise master. What's the use of regret? If you have the guts, use money to compensate. Your tears aren't worth a cent. The more you regret, the more money you should spend. That's what atonement is. And I've always been like this. After speaking, I was about to slip away, but unexpectedly, Jianmoi quickly replied, "Thank you. I know you're the one beside her, helping her, no matter what. Thank you for saving her. Damn it. The male lead isn't brainless after all." Mapped him out. After that, despite the gossip, Jianmoi transferred a large amount of shares and assets to Kin Ruin. Kin Ruin was now a super rich woman, with assets comparable to some of the tycoons on the rankings. Even so, she remained humble, knowing she still had much to learn, and worked even harder to improve herself. She wanted to be worthy of the assets she now held. People praised and criticized her. There was admiration, jealousy, and no shortage of slander among them. Kinsia was a prime example. She had just starred in a hit TV drama when giving her acceptance speech. Every word was dripping with sarcasm. "We women who don't have family backing, who don't rely on men, have still made it to where we are today. Hope that in the future, all my sisters can be like us, becoming brilliant flowers in our own right." A powerful statement from Kinsia that was supposed to earn her praise. Unexpectedly, it went viral alongside news of Kin Ruin, creating a tragically stark contrast and immediately igniting a firestorm of debate across social media. But netizens these days are very clear. The comments under her speech were pure gold. Who doesn't want to not rely on family? It's a pity my ancestors for 3 generations were commoners. The descendants can only rely on me to carry the burden and change our fate. My surname is Lin. My ancestors were emperors. If any lost imperial relative is reading this, please contact me. Your grandson has been waiting for you for a long time. The trend started to slide into tear-jerkingly funny territory, which Kinsia had not anticipated. She was so angry she had to find Kin Ruin to make things clear. But as soon as she entered the studio, She saw Jianmoi sitting at the desk opposite Qin Ruan, who was engrossed in her work. Insaya was slightly stunned, feeling a pang of guilt. In Ruan looked over at Jianmoi and smiled faintly. Jianmoi immediately stood up, walked over, and sat down coldly opposite Kinsaya. You spent hundreds of thousands to buy a trending topic to put your news next to Qin Ruan's. What do you want? Brother Moi. Call me Jian Moi. Used to respect Uncle Qin as my mentor, so I always saw you as a younger sister. But if you dare to touch my wife, you are not my family. My family only consists of my wife and my parents. Hinsia crumble. He did that. Don't you understand? I have liked you since we were kids. Dare you say you didn't know? Jian Moi was genuinely confused. Didn't know if you liked me. Why didn't you say so? If you had, I could have rejected you outright. It would have saved us all this trouble now. You reject people so decisively. There was a girl who confessed to you before and was so embarrassed after being rejected that she transferred schools. If I had said it, we couldn't even be friends anymore. Thought I still had a chance. But who knew a Qin Ruan would pop out of nowhere? She was shameless, slept with you for one night, and you married her. If I had known, I would have drugged you and slept with you back then. Regret it to death. The more I regret, the more I hate her. Hate her to the bone. She stole the person I love the most. She cried tragically. Years of love turning to ash in an instant, her hatred like a large, suffocating mushroom cloud. You're wrong. Jian Moi was cold as ice. If it were anyone else who drugged me, I would have called the police and ruined her reputation, but I would absolutely not have married her. It was because it was Qin Ruan that I married her. You say you love me, but if you really paid attention, how could you not know that I had a secret crush on Qin Ruan? Do you love me, or do you love my face? My background? My abilities? A person shouldn't deceive themselves. Sia stopped crying, speechless. But she relies on you to get rich. Then you always say you like independent women. Jian Moi was chilling to the core. She is my wife. I'm willing to let her use my reputation. Rules were made to be broken by the one I love. I also relied on my family to get to where I am today. A father also relied on others in the past. In the world of men, leveraging power is a skill, as long as it's not illegal. So why is it wrong when women do it? You're more old-fashioned than I am. Besides, are you sure you've never relied on family on men? You were the female lead in your debut film. Was it because the director visited your father at home, happened to see you, and gave you the role? Hinsaya froze, then ran away in shame. Finally, under public pressure, she had to publicly apologize to Qin Ruan, and Ruan didn't bother to forgive her. She conveniently reposted the apology with a link to her new book release. Watched and laughed. That's how it's done. And Ruan's webcomic was an instant hit in the toon world, quickly breaking out of its fandom and into the mainstream market, successively being nominated for major awards and becoming the brightest contender of the season. Jian Moi was not to be outdone, publicly promoting his wife. Anyone who brings Qin Ruan's comic to buy my products gets a deep discount. And so, Qin Ruan's comic truly exploded, becoming hotter than hot. She was swamped with work for a long time, finally collapsing from exhaustion, and being dragged away by her mother for a mandatory vacation. And Jian Moi shamelessly tagged along. The two of them walked along the beach, the waves lapping gently, a cool breeze brushing past. Before them was the blue sky and vast sea, and beside her was the person who had once broken her heart. It was a scene that made one want to both laugh and sigh. Jian Moi quietly reached out to hold Qin Ruan's hand, and Ruan immediately pulled her hand back. He reached out again. She looked out at the sea, chuckled softly, and scolded, "Shameless." Jian Moi nodded seriously. If I had any shame, it'd be single for life. But you've been using my name to do business more and more smoothly. He leaned closer, his voice low and suggestive. When will it be my turn to use you? I've been holding back for almost a year. Five fingers are about to get colluses. And Ruan's face immediately turned bright red, and she turned and ran away. Jian Moi laughed and immediately chased after her. She ran, he chased, a chase that was both noisy and sweet. Their figures were youthful, radiant, and so real it was hard to look away. And me, I lay on a beach chair, wearing sunglasses, sipping coconut water, sunbathing leisurely, enjoying life to the fullest. Now this is what you call a perfect, happy ending. Mission accomplished. Once again.